Matt Provins, Gary Lubbock back here at Bucknell's Christy Mathewson Memorial Stadium. A lot of emotion in this game. We were flip-flopping scores. It was an injured player and Robert Naylor who was down for quite some time. But Bucknell rallied for their member who went down. And let's get a look at the highlights as Gary will talk you through. It was a very exciting second half of football here up at Bucknell University.
Yeah, it turns out to be perhaps some lowlights as you see Ross Sherman going in for the first touchdown of the ball game. That's a 2-yard run, and that got the Leopards up by a 7-0 score. That was on their second possession. At the moment, things look pretty good. And then R.J. Nitty hits Jake Hartman for 45 yards. He just simply runs away from the defenders, and that tied the ball game at 7-7. Then Hartman again from R.J. Nitty as he catches a 19-yard touchdown pass. You'll see it right here as he fakes a block, heads downfield, and he got past Phil Parham on that one, and it was 14-7 at the half. Lafayette, it was all Lafayette for the most part in the third quarter as they got a big run out of Ross Sherman. The first time they had the football, 25 yards. And then Ross Sherman was able to go in for the second time. From 3 yards out, he gets the corner. And that made the score 14-14 as Sherman again skirts that right side. And Lafayette came right back with a big interception here by Matt Smalley as this one came on just the second play of Bucknell's first possession of the second half. Smalley gets the ball back to the 14-yard line, and then it took 3 plays for Lafayette to give it to Ross Sherman for his third touchdown of the day. It was 21-14. Derek Maurer got a field goal to make it 21-17. Then Lafayette gets a big third down conversion here that will eventually lead to this field goal of 31 yards. And Ryan Graylish puts the Leopards up by 7. And with that came with 9:20 to go. And then a big Trey Lauletta, who was substituting for R.J. Nitty, to Jake Hartman. His third touchdown made it 24-all. And then it was all settled by Derek Maurer with a 33-yard field goal. Derek Maurer wins this football game for Bucknell by a 27-24 score.
Well, certainly a tough one to stomach for Lafayette. You know what a competitor Frank Tovani is. You know how this team has fought. In fact, I thought it was interesting, too, at the press conference on Tuesday, Gary, talking about how although they were struggling in several areas, although they've been injured, he was so proud of the fight in his troops. They fought today, and let's go down to get his reactions with Dan Mowdy.
All right, thanks a lot, Matt and Gary. Head coach Frank Tovani, what a tough one. First of all, you just met with your team. What were some of the words you shared with them?
Well, you know, it's been a tough year, obviously, and that's just another chapter in a tough week. But I asked them to keep playing, keep practicing hard, gave everything they had. You know, and we'll all look at plays in there, one play here or there, somebody not doing their job. And the game comes down to one play, and you know, we played terribly in overtime, and they played great. So you got to congratulate Joe Susan and his team, you know, for coming back and you know, staying undefeated in the league. And we wish them well.
The preseason luncheon on Tuesday, you said it's all about the interior line. We need some improvement there. It seemed like you got some here today against Bucknell.
We play a little better, there's no doubt, but we still, you know, doing some things and just falling off blocks and then completely just whiffing on a guy in that situation. It hadn't happened really all day, and then to have it happen in that situation. But it's football, and we're all going to live another day, and we just got to focus on Colgate. Haven't won up there. I can't remember the last time, so got another huge challenge ahead of us, and 2 games for our seniors to finish out their careers.
And one to focus on for a turnaround after a tough one today in overtime. Frank Tovani, thanks for joining us here on the postgame show.
Thank you.
Frank Tovani, the head coach of the Lafayette Leopards, off to Hamilton, New York next week, and it's never easy up there, as you guys well know. Back to you.
Hey, Dan, great job today. Dan filling in for our head coach, John Leone, who had his son's wedding today. And I'll tell you what, Dan had it tougher than we did, Gary. He's out there in the elements. It was windy. It was chilly. Luckily, it didn't precipitate. But in the end, it was Bucknell winning in overtime. And it is tough. But obviously, when you've got a team of scrappers and clawers and a lot of guys getting playing time who are underclassmen, I would have to think they'll look at the next 2 games and say, hey, we have pride. We want to go up there and beat the Raiders for the first time in a very long time up in Hamilton and we want to beat Lehigh without a doubt at Yankee Stadium. So to me, there is plenty of incentive to continue scrapping and clawing.
And I think it sets up next Friday night's matchup between Bucknell and Fordham. Looking at the two teams, having seen them, Fordham certainly possesses more talent. One wonders what the emotion of playing here on Friday night in a game that will decide probably the Patriot League Championship will do for the Bison. But they certainly eat this one out today with that 27-24. And once again, our last Lafayette Sports Network broadcast of the game, we will be involved a bit in the Yankee Stadium game, but not as part of the broadcast. So thanks to everybody for spending time with us. Thanks to everybody for their kind words about the season. And again, Rick Gio and the RCN television team just did another super job with the Lafayette Leopards. And Matt, I thoroughly enjoyed bumping over one spot. Great job by you today.
Well, I appreciate it. This was great. It was a pleasure working with you as always, so I thank you. I'll tell Mike Joseph he better not find himself in a Wally Pip Lou Gehrig situation.
I don't think it's worried about that.
But I certainly enjoyed it, and special thanks again to Tim, who is our producer, and of course Ricky Hill, you mentioned, who's the producer, the director. But also, how about our buddy John Bowman in the booth, who had my back more than he probably ever figured he would have today. So great job by John. Thank everybody else in the crew. Great job again. Your final score here from Bucknell. The Bison stay undefeated in the Patriot League, go to 7-1, winning in overtime, 27-24. Now continue to have a wonderful weekend, and remember, roll Pards.